board as well, and we are ready to go. Welcome, Genius Token, to AMA Central. I'm excited to host Genius Token once again with Robert. As I said, yes, you've been described as a very cool guy by one of our good guys in the team, Landon. He's one of our marketing guys. And so I hope you're really a cool guy, like he said. So Robert,
yeah,
let's get this started by knowing you better. So if you can introduce yourself to us, that would be amazing, mate. Thank you.
thanks, Benson. Hi, everybody. My name is Robert Genito. I am the creator, founder of the Genius token, the Genius Smart Financial Contract. I've been in cryptocurrency since it was just Bitcoin. Started mining in early 2011. A couple years later, went on to co-location kind of mining. So people would send their graphic cards over, and then later people would send over their machines so that they could have cheaper electricity. Had four different processing centers from that, 3 in Florida in the United States and 1 in Washington State. And later from there, during that, I went on to found and work with different exchanges. I founded one of the largest US-based peer-to-peer crypto exchanges, Wall of Coins, which was later sold to a Chinese group in the late 2018. And I've lived, eaten, breathed, been divorced through the whole crypto community. The whole crypto time has just been my obsession, and something that I really liked. Loved the idea that an entity that doesn't exist could pay me. I thought that was really cool. And also loved the idea of the efficiency it could bring to the world. So I'm a huge fan. I've been a huge fan for over 10 years. Loved how the internet amplified our ability to communicate. Heck, the computers amplified our ability, really our talents and abilities. And now we have blockchain amplifying our ability to transact, and of course, amplifying our funds, right? So it's a little bit about me. I'm very happy I'm a very transparent person. I've lived a lot by the philosophies of Bitcoin, and I'm really looking forward to this.
Amazing, mate. Well, thank you so much for that self-introduction. Sorry to hear certain facts about your career in crypto, but if that was for the better, then I'm super happy and proud.
Yeah, my true marriage and my true relationships have been with Bitcoin, then with Ethereum, Dash, etc., etc.
I mean, that gives you certain things that a relationship don't, and vice versa. Though a relationship gives you a lot that crypto doesn't give you. So I think balancing is always a good way to do it. But if you don't find the right person that wants to live the whole dream alongside with you and helps you to be better and always tries to bring you down, then technically you did the right thing, probably, even though I don't know what happened.
Well, I mean, everybody has met someone in crypto like this. So at one point, like in the very beginning, my whole home, every circuit that was available was drawing as much electricity as available without, overheating or tripping the circuit breaker. And a lot of people have a story like this where someone, and this happened to have been my significant other, we mined and amassed a little more than 5,000 Bitcoin when we were together, like 5,280, I think was the top that our wallet had. And I think it was at the low point. It wasn't at the low of like $2.10 for Bitcoin, but I think it was like a little, like almost $3. Had OTC sold all of that with the idea of buying it back, right? And that didn't happen. But this is someone who had left me shortly after, and didn't believe in Bitcoin at all, and thought I went crazy and insane, and like, come on, we're never going to retire doing something like this. And then, of course, one day, she and I are talking, and I'm like, hey, guess what the price of Bitcoin is? And she's like, I don't know, what? I'm like, $100. And she's like, what? Are you insane? And then in the future, when it hit $1,000, she looked like she swallowed her entire organ set. And then I couldn't get a hold of her when Bitcoin surpassed $10,000. So that's more of a fun story of,
That is definitely.
everybody has friends who are like, come on, it's not going to do that.
Well, that is definitely a funny story. Yeah, I mean, it is a funny anecdote. And I love to start this off this way. I mean, it is, as I said before, a Saturday night, so I kind of feel I have that bar vibe where you just sit down and have a nice chat. But let's not forget that we're here talking about a business tonight, guys. We're talking about Genius. You have a lot to tell people, Robert. You've put your whole experience from your crypto past into this, and it's really giving you results. So if you want to introduce Genius to us and everything about it, that would be amazing, Robert.
Thank you. Okay. So the Genius Smart Financial Contract it's a token that is designed to only appreciate in value over time, and it has an artificial intelligence built in to defend itself against negative market activities or human behavior that can have negative impacts. Another way to put that is that Genius is like a banking certificate of deposit in a way, except it doesn't suck like with banks do. It's very rewarding, and it's on the blockchain. So therefore, being on the blockchain, it's in the full control of the end user. And this artificial intelligence layer, it's what operates the reward structure. So this is so Genius is the first hyper yield AI blockchain certificate of deposit designed to appreciate in value. It's there to be used by the end users to generate passive income, sort of like Bitcoin mining.
Great. Now that the concept's been thrown out there, a lot of people are going to be like, what? What did he say right now? Well, basically, mate, what I mean by this is let's kind of put this as if you were speaking to someone that has never done crypto before. When you say minings, I know because I've been in here for so many years, a lot of people don't know. Now, how do they generate money constantly by being a part of it? If you could explain that in a simple way, I'm sure you're going to get a lot of people on track right now.
Thank you. It's funny. I've explained this in a way of mining to people who are in their 70s, and they seem to understand it. It's kind of weird, but not everybody does. You're right. So with the Genius Smart Financial Contract, like any token, and by the way, this is a Ethereum-based token. It will run on the Ethereum substrate with the intention of it being copied over to Pulse Chain. So anyone familiar with Pulse Chain, this contract will run on both Ethereum and Pulse Chain. So just like many other blockchain assets or many assets, you can hold it, you can buy it, you can sell it. Okay. But now for the passive income part, okay. There will be an app that you use this with. And what you do is, first you buy Genius. And then with this app, you'll tell the app, hey, I want to take X amount of Genius and I want to lock it up so that I can, get a return on it. And that return is paid with more Genius token. So that's what you do with the app. You tell the app, you say, hey, I have this much Genius. I want to lock it up. The app tells you, okay, lock it up. For how long do you want to lock it up? Because by lock it up, we mean you're making a promise that you're not going to spend this Genius and you're not going to transfer it. And then so you tell the app, you type in how many days you want to lock it up. You can lock it up for a single day, or you can lock it up for a little more than 12 years. 12 years is a long time to lock an asset up. And in return, what the network does is it locks your Genius token for you, and it pays you in Genius to have that locked up, to have that promise. That's the fundamental of this.
Amazing. Yeah, exactly. That's how I wanted you to, draw it down at the end of the day. I think it was very clear with the mining bit, but, as a host myself, I always tend to explain things in, and how do I say it? Basically, I like to put things in the easiest way possible that there is, even without using technical terms. Because at the end of the day, yeah, everyone knows mining, but a lot of people don't still. It is a small percentage of the world that knows mining. We have all kinds of investors around here. But that's been a great explanation, Robert. Thank you so much. You've been great so far. I have a few more questions for you, which now comes with the whole ecosystem. And let's talk sustainability now. And you probably already knew this question was coming. What's the sustainability of the ecosystem? How far can this go without volumes, for example, in a still market state? You've been getting a lot of volumes. You've been doing a great job. I do want to know your marketing strategies too, because this has been all over the place. You're getting so much money inflow, but I do want to know the sustainability of this without the constant inflow of money.
Thank you. So we can talk.
We lost you, Robert. Can't hear you right now, mate. Just so you know, I can't hear you.
Sorry about
Okay.
that. I apologize. If I hit
That's
this
good,
button
mate.
twice. So we can talk about sustainability mathematically if we really want. That's what I've been focusing on. But I'd like to start with philosophy. The philosophy I have, and many others do, is that if it's useful, people will use it. And people will use it when they need it, they'll use it when they want to, and they'll tell other friends about it who want to use it, right? And the first thing I think of with sustainability is this an asset that can live like longer than me? Is it something that can live a long time? And what we see with Bitcoin is we all feel pretty certain that Bitcoin's here to stay, at least for a while. Maybe it gets replaced by another technology. But Bitcoin has a really strong last like 13 years, about 13 and a half years. So with Genius, it has to be useful, right? If it's not useful, no one's going to want to use it. And the use case here is a lot like an old product that governments, banks, financial corporations have had for centuries, and even governments have had for probably thousands of years. I mean, who knows? But what I'm getting at is the use case here is you make a promise to the network, and here's like if someone can hold Genius and they can make a promise to the network that they want to lock it up, not sell it on the market, and earn some of the new inflation rewards because of their promise, sort of like how Bitcoin earns new inflation rewards for miners, then people have a use case for this. And the use cases are savings. Why save a asset that's just going to lose value over time? Here's potentially an asset that is designed to appreciate in value over time. So this has a good savings use case and a good retirement use case. And pretty much everybody in the world does these things, saves for future goals. I've said this many times before, maybe not little kids, like like a 5-year-old kid, you give them a couple bucks and they're spending it right away and they're super happy. But so for it to be sustainable, it has to work, but it has to be useful. It has to be useful. And I'm really down to the nitty-gritty tokenomics of
it. Yeah, that's very, very well explained, I have to say. Makes total sense, mate. Now, when it comes to the whole ecosystem that you built and that you have built so far, this is quite a challenging question, but how far have you come with the development of it, and how satisfied are you? Which is completely relative to the person, but I think is a good question to ask someone that's come so far. Honestly, having a 100 million plus market cap token is an achievement. You are a reference for many. And I do want you to tell us how far you think development's been achieved in your token, how far you think you can go. I know you're probably speaking, Robert, but your mic is off.
Thank you. So we have a few questions in there. One is, where is it at in development, right? And how satisfied. And I think there was another one that I definitely want to touch up on there. Can you remind me of that?
Yes, my pleasure. I was pretty much asking you about, first of all, your personal satisfaction with the development of it, and also how far you think you've come with the development of the whole platform ecosystem. How far can this go? How far can this develop? What's the potential of it? Will there be a point where, I'm putting you in different case scenarios, will there be a point where people just maybe get tired of it? I was just speaking to recent investors for another project that we have, and I was telling them, you need to give people new things on a daily, or people just get tired and move on to the next one. So, at the end of the day, that's the world we live at, which is a demand and supply world. So people are gonna keep supplying blockchains, probably very similar to yours. And what is going to make people stick to yours? I know I asked you so many questions at once, but that's kind of like putting you in context of what I wanted to know.
That makes a lot of sense. And thank you for expanding on that. Let me give you simple answers first, and go into that, because I can tell, what you're interested in, what others are interested in. This has been in development for a little over a year and like 3 months. And most of that development, though, was research and development, research and simulations. This was an idea that I had about 5 years ago, when I was looking for, and just realized, like, wow, if we can program a store of value, like if humanity living in a internet society and a software society, if we can program a store of value, then surely we can program it to our desires, right? And so, anyways, in March 4th, last year, a placeholder token for Genius was released. And this placeholder token, the whole purpose was, if you get this placeholder token, you're going to be guaranteed your initial supply of the real token, right? And implementation of the smart contract started about a month ago. And so I've been in the software world for a long time, since like making games for DOS 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. And then, and I've been in the web development world and the blockchain development world. And I am so satisfied with with actual implementation of this smart contract. Developing for smart contracts is really hard. It's different. There's a different approach you take. It's a different mindset. And developing for blockchain development and assets and game theory, it's really hard. So far, I'm trying not to get complacent, but I'm just really impressed in how little hiccups there have been in implementation. And a lot of that is due to over a year of a lot of research and a lot of planning. So I love being part of projects where they've been planned out really well. And that doesn't always get to happen. So I'm happy about that. And how far can this go? What's the potential? Will people get tired of it, right? Well, as far as how long you go, the protocol itself, this Genius Smart Financial Contract Protocol, will allow people to lock up and gain compounding interest for up to 12.2 years. So that's a lot of thinking in the future, right? That's a lot of thinking in the future. How far can it go? What is its potential? I mean, this is like a decades long play. This could be centuries long. I mean, that'd be kind of creepy if that happened, but it's very possible. Of course, competitors are going to come. In the blockchain world that we have today, at one point in the blockchain world, people were trying to make things like Bitcoin. People were trying to make the best type of currency, the best thing to be used for money. And then Bitcoin failed massively when it came to being a currency, when it came to being used at point of sale and such. But later the blockchain world got into, smart contracts is going to be awesome. It's going to be the future, and ignore that Dogecoin thing that came out last year. And then today still meme coins are huge. NFTs are a great idea and interesting and useful, and also fun for people who are collectors. A waste of time for people who are investors that aren't interested in collecting things as an investment. But so much is happening, and so many more competitors will go. But the next place that I really believe blockchain assets are going to go is with more of the masses realizing, wait, we can design things to give us what we want financially. We can design things to only appreciate in value. Cool. How do we do that, right? So Bitcoin was kind of one of the starts for that, and Bitcoin has done well as a store of value. And then recently, in the last few years, you've had Hex come out, and Hex 10,000 fold in price in less than 2 years. That's, when you 10,000 fold in price, that's like turning $1,000 into $10 million, if my numbers and zeros are right, in a 2-year period. That's unheard of in history. Who knows how sustainable that is, because there are problems that Genius solves. So here, I really think this is going to be the next focus in blockchain investments, blockchain asset world, is just this realization that, most people, all they care about is number go up. I keep chatting more about that, are people going to get tired of it? Well, look at gold. Gold is one of the oldest assets. Are people tired of it? No, but people are tired of it, but other people aren't. Even Bitcoin's 13 years old news, or it's at least 2 years old news for most people. And people aren't tired of it because it's useful. It's useful, and it's exciting when you're getting paid, right? Yeah.
I can't agree more with that. That's exactly the answer I was expecting. I agree with that. I agree with that fully. Now, kind of guiding this AMA through getting to know more about Genius. What do you think has been the most powerful tool to reach new investors? How have you guys gotten to this point? Because at the end of the day, you might have an amazing product. I've seen many incredible products that I've bet it all in, and they never got anywhere. To be honest, they really never got anywhere because they were not able and they were not qualified to reach new investors. Now, apart from your great communication and your image, which is certainly public, what do you think is leading Genius to these numbers, which are, as I said before, remarkable?
Thank you. Pretty sure I'm unmuted now.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. One thing I do want to say, in all interest of transparency and etc. Yes, the market cap at one point was, over over $200 million. However, the treasury then had burnt all of its tokens in supply. Well, not all, but like 99% of its tokens in supply. So strategically, for the preparation of the sacrifice event that has come off, and for the initial Genius tokens that come out, the initial distribution. So what you'll all see is a lot of other ranking sites, they don't consider those burned coins or burned tokens to be part of the market cap, which I think is super fair. So in just all transparency, I just want to point out that the fully diluted market cap now is more than 40 million, and the supply is a lot less. And this is for the placeholder token, which guarantees you the initial supply of the Genius Smart Financial Contract to be released within the next 1 to 2 months, this summer. you asked about what is the most powerful tool to reach new investors, and I'm not from like, I'm not somebody with like a FINRA license or someone who is a broker dealer, but what I've seen over the last like 10 plus years is passion is it's not necessarily a tool, but when people who are interested in investing, when they see you're passionate about something, like that's sexy. Like passion is sexy. Um, if somebody's super passionate, they could be crazy, but if they're a sane person, then it's like a indicator that, hey, it's an indicator that, hey, something interesting is going on here. Something interesting going on. So passion. And how did it really get to this point? Well, I haven't been building the community. So I can't really take credit for building the community, but my passion has been broadcasted many times with people, and people have come together. And how do you get to this point? I guess you form a cult. I guess that's how you get to the point. But I'm kidding about the whole cult thing. But yeah, I guess it's kind of like a cult following. The cult is huge.
Passion's huge.
Makes total sense, yeah. The cult thing was funny. You make a religion. Yeah, I mean, makes total sense, Robert, though.
Well, if I could say, well, when I was a young CEO, maybe like 6 years ago, I remember I remember like a manager telling me like, hey man, like, are you aware you run this company like a cult? I'm like, what are you talking about? And like people were just like so inspired and so excited and super, super dedicated. And I didn't see it like that. I just thought like, well, yeah, we're doing cryptocurrency related stuff. Of course that's going to be interesting. Like, what do you mean I'm running a cult? It's just great. It's interesting. But yeah, I mean, even that stands for what you asked earlier. Like, so many people have made projects and they failed. And what do you need to be qualified for this? Like, obviously passion and cult like following or something like that. But really it does boil down to like, what are people's true passions and true desires and what they really want to do? People do things that they don't want to do all the time, every day. And that's why it's important that something like Genius Token succeeds and reaches people, so they can earn passive income. They can be liberated from their jobs that they don't really like, and be liberated from that so they can exercise something really amazing about themselves, their human creativity. So what's going on here with building the community and Genius Token? Am I qualified? Who are qualified? Well, this is definitely my passion and my desire, and that's really important for any project, right?
Definitely is, mate. There's one thing that I mentioned before, and I was like, well, I'm personally right myself. It sounds cocky, but that's how I felt before. I am a super crypto head. Like, I'm one of these crazy crypto heads. I love crypto as a financial ecosystem, but sometimes it's not taken the right way from people that don't know business. At the end of the day, everything is numbers, everything is mathematics, everything is business. And if the numbers don't add up, then your business is a failure. Now, I said before that if a crypto, and not only me, CZ have said that many times, and so many others too, if a crypto project does not generate independently and actively by itself and depends on investors and on communities all the time, there is going to be a point of full on deflation of price because people are going to sell at a certain point. There are two ways. How do you stop that first? Or build a product that generates money actively. Now, would you say that you have that? Would you say that you have that product that is generating money aside from taking advantage or using the investors' investments to regenerate income? which one, could go either way. I think I've explained myself good enough for you to understand what I mean, Robert. Let me know.
I completely understand. Thank you. Yeah, there's a good amount in there. With building ecosystems, and how do you protect it from, from people's choices, really, and have a project that doesn't depend on investors, right? First of all, the most important thing I think is to not have a project, to not have a project, is to have a product. And when Bitcoin was launched, it was pretty much a product. And it really hasn't changed a whole lot since then. It's changed in some very important ways, especially with inflation bug that was found, two inflation bugs. But today, Bitcoin remains pretty much the same. So I think one of the most important things is to have a product, not always working towards some new thing in the future. Have a product, have it clearly defined, and have it do the best that it possibly can for that, right? And once you have that product, then there's the ecosystem. Like Apple Computer and Amazon they're the kings of building an ecosystem, or at least they've paid a lot of attention to that. And that's been one of my biggest passions in the crypto world, really, was the development of an ecosystem. I was an early Bitcoin adopter, and I saw it like, wow, this thing has to catch on like wildfire before the fire's put out, before the embers are snuffed out. So I really felt like, okay, there were people who were mining for Bitcoin. There were companies popping up, for exchange that were really hard for people to use, and some of them were complex with the whole limit stop order thing, complex for your average person. And so I had focused a lot of attention on there because that was important. Like fiat on ramps, how can people get crypto easily without wiring money to another country, or without wiring money in general? And a lot of those problems have been solved today, and that's where Bitcoin and Ethereum have really exploded. Now here's something that Genius does, right? Like people might see a new sexy meme coin and want to jump over there, right? So with Genius, when you just hold onto Genius token, you don't get anything out of it when you just hold it. There's a different way to hold it, but when you're just sitting there trading it, you're playing the trader's game. So, it can be gambling, it can be risky, whichever. But with Genius, the point is you can earn more Genius. Excuse me, you can earn more Genius with your Genius. Now that's attractive because that's passive income, right? Just like with Bitcoin miners, you run the software. Well, at first you just ran the software and you would passively get new Bitcoin every once in a while. And when it got harder and harder, then people did cooler things like using their GPUs to mine for Bitcoin, right? Joining pools with other people to mine for Bitcoin. So this got people in, right? People, not everyone, but most people, they thought it was really cool because they could earn money. And this, of course, was from the fundamentals of an ecosystem growing. But how do you protect for that, though? A lot of these early Bitcoin miners, they're selling their rewards all the time. They're selling it, they're cashing out, right? And this did depend on new investors, else you'd have that price keep dropping, right? With the Genius token, when you want to mine for more Genius token, you'll tell the network, here's an example. You'll say, hey, software, lock up my Genius token for 100 days. I've got $20,000 worth of Genius token, lock it up for 100 days. Or you know what? Lock it up for a whole year. And by you doing that action, in exchange, you're given shares of the reward pool. Shares that are proportional to how much Genius you are locking up and how long you are locking up that Genius. So you're, in return, you receive shares of this reward pool, and every day you're paid shares. And at the end of your promise period, in this example, it was 1 year, 365 days. At the very end of the promise period, you get back the original Genius that you put in, and you get all of the rewards that was your share of all the new inflation rewards that came out, or similar to Bitcoin mining rewards. Now, so that's one aspect that I guess you can say keeps people in, is the fact that they want passive income. But now when people have that 1 year long operation of getting more Genius, by the way, if the price appreciates, not only do you get the interest, you also get the appreciated price. But let's say you have an emergency and you want to break your promise. So you know what, it's been 180 days. I've earned a good amount of rewards. I earned a lot more than I expected, but I really need this now after 180 days. I need it now. I can't wait until 6 more months. So with the Genius token, you can do that. You can break your promise early. When you break your promise, just like in the banking CD world, there are fees associated with it. When you break your promise, those fees are paid out as extra rewards to other people in the network, to other people who are still keeping to their promise. This is one of many things. It gets pretty complex with the Genius Smart Financial Contract, but this is one of the many things that ultimately do protect the market price from selling pressure, as other people are seeing that something like this works and people are getting passive income.
Works, mate. Works. Sounds good enough. Sounds strong enough as a concept. We've seen it a lot around. We've seen it a lot, but most of the time, not really well developed, not really well explained, and not really being able to attract masses properly, which is what you guys are doing very well. Now, I believe that we've covered most of the things I like to cover in these AMAs, Robert. I think question-wise, I'm super satisfied. If you want to go on and have a little sales pitch, whatever you need, you're more than welcome to do so, mate.
Thank you. Well, I think you hit on a good point there. It's like, okay, well, there are other tokens that have done this, or doing something like this, or tried, and most of them have failed. One of them has been largely successful. So it's like, well, why then? Okay, what's different about Genius token? Why are people really interested in that, right? Well, one, the people are always interested in new cryptos, right? If you find an early crypto, then that can be massive. So there's one interest. But then I think how the Genius token has kept a lot of people's interest is that the tokenomics make a lot of sense. Like when you read a little bit about it and you hear a little bit about it and you go, oh, okay, passive income, whatever. And then you hear how the passive income is being paid to people who are staking, or for people who are mining for more Genius. Then it makes a little more sense. And then so you see the amount of time that you promise to lock up your Genius will give you more shares of the reward pool. So the more people look into these tokenomics, more things are making sense about it. Now, the Hex community, for example, has had more than 850 days of success, more than 2 years of huge success. So even if people didn't understand the tokenomics, they could see, that success, and they could also see those pitfalls, right? With Hex being down at least 60, maybe 70% in value right now. It's a big amount to be down, and a lot of people that had bought up from that haven't been too happy for more than 6 months, right? So then why that happen? Why did that happen? Because it's a bear market? Well, with the Genius token, the tokenomics have been built to understand that people are gonna break their promises and want to sell. So that's where this artificial intelligence layer comes in, and this is where people have gotten, where I see people starting to understand this more as they read it and getting more intrigued. Is is in this area. So this is why a lot of people are staying. One thing I do want to say is there's a thing with like hex, right? Or just as an example, you lock up your coins for a year, right? Or let's say you lock up your coins for 2 years, and a hex in less than 2 years did 10,000 fold in price. So as you have your coins locked up, you're going, wow, these are, yeah, at some point in time, you say, holy crap, I had $1,000 worth of hex, and right now it's up 100x, and I've got $100,000. That's awesome. You go, oh, but in order for me to get that 100,000 hex, $100,000 worth of hex for my original $1,000 investment, which hopefully that's perking up ears already. When the person takes those coins and dumps them on the market because they're really excited, that's 100 times more selling pressure on the market than when they originally bought, 1,000 hex, right? So that's a lot more selling volume. $100,000, big difference between $1,000. Even people who, let's say, put $10,000 into hex and it 100-fold in price, now they have $1 million in hex. That's a lot of selling pressure to put on the market, especially for someone's like, screw it, I'm gonna get a home, I made it finally, yay, right? However somebody will react. So in hex, what I'm getting at is here's a little bit of a known problem with hex when it comes to rescuing the price, is that the person isn't really incentivized to keep their promise. If hex is 100-fold in price and they've got $100,000 after 1,000, let's say with interest they have $115,000, and they look at the penalty of breaking their promise, and the penalty is like, let's say the penalty is 50%, right? The penalty is 50%. Let's say that. Are you going to care if you pay a penalty of 50% if you want your money now instead of a year from now and you made 50 grand? After all, this is crypto. A lot of people don't know, like, the price went up. Could it go back down? This is sort of like when in the development of the tokenomics for Genius, we call this problem the growing divorce reward. And that may have been inspired by my experience, but what it basically says is a problem where you have, divorce doesn't have to be marriage, where you have people who are in a system, or like, let's say, a marriage, and one of the marriagees is getting richer and richer and richer over time, right? They're a thousandaire, 10,000aire, 100,000aire, millionaire, multimillionaire, and the growing divorce reward is, well, let's say these two in the marriage don't really get along too great. So as the other spouse is getting richer and richer and richer, one of the spouses has a growing reward to divorce. Like how? Or at least as far as laws go in most states in the United States. So like, this guy, he really annoys me and pisses me off, but you know what? If I divorce him, my reward is half of this. That's kind of awesome. So with hex and with Genius, you have your coins, your tokens locked up, and let's say they 100-fold in price. Well, with hex, when hex goes up a lot in value, it also dumps a ton in value, because people, the thing that hex sought to do was just have the price appreciate in value over time. Well, it has a hard time doing that when people are incentivized to break their promises. When they have this growing divorce reward, they can break their promise and make a really good return. In Genius, one of the functions of this artificial intelligence is the more people who are breaking their promise, the more strict the penalty is to break your promise. And this is done intelligently in a way that doesn't make Genius not worth getting into. It's fair for the entire ecosystem, and it's done to incentivize people to keep their promises. Does that make sense, Benson? I know you're tired of it.
No, it does make total sense. I'm just not interrupting you. I'm letting you go through it
the end of the day, sales pitches should never be interrupted. I agree. I mean, just like I was saying before, you know, there are two things in this space. Whether you have a great product, whether you have a great theme that has everything to sell that product as something great, even if it's not created yet, or whether you have both. And you guys are kind of managing to have a decent quality of both of them, and that's what's making you strong at the end of the day. There's nothing else to talk about tonight, honestly. Overall, the most important facts are theme, product, and sustainability of itself. Sometimes you can be too much of a dreamer and just build something that it just doesn't sustain. But you guys are definitely aware of what you do, and everything that you are building and you have built is sustainable. And I think it's clear enough. I think it was a great AMA, Robert. Honestly, I don't have anything to say myself. I think I've asked you very extensive questions that we've managed to cover, and I think we had a great time. I think this AMA is worth being everywhere on the internet. I think people can learn so much from you, and I think everything was very, very clear.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Genius is thank you for listening to this. I've seen and worked with so many cryptos in the past that have 100x, 1000x, 10,000x. Multiple times I've gotten 100x out of it because a lot of my side time was spent looking at new cryptos, right? So want people to know Genius is a dream come true. It was designed for users to earn passive income. It was designed to appreciate in value, designed to always have utility in that way. And we've learned from the past mistakes and successes of many others that have tried this. So Genius is truly standing on the shoulder of giants here, and can show a total new type of asset that people would be interested in. This is really novel stuff, and I'm so proud to be a part of it and to have a really smart team dedicated to doing this. There are burnamentals to the tokenomics. So people who are interested in tokenomics, there's burnamentals here, pumpamentals as it's being called now. It's super interesting, super interesting. Yeah, thank you, Benson. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for being such a great guest tonight. We're pretty tight in time to allow people to ask questions live. We might as well cover maybe one question, and then the rest can happen straight into your Telegram, your channel, okay, so that people can join the community as well. I'm going to give this one, if he's still awake, to my friend Mark. He's never around, but he seems to have a question. So, Mark, if you have a question, go for it.
Hey, guys. So I really like the whole project. I really love it, and I know the team is very good. In fact, all I wanted to ask is regarding the AI part. How is AI implemented in this project exactly? Because I'm not sure I understood. Maybe it's too complicated for me. But I wanted to make it clear. I mean, how would you explain the AI part to a 10 years basically?
Thanks, Mark. I like your name in your icon, by the way, not Mark.
Thanks.
Well, one thing I do want to say before I forget about it, by the way, is anybody that wants to ask, I know we're on a time crunch, and anybody that wants to ask questions over in the Genius Room, I'll hang out for another hour and gladly answer anybody's questions in detail. So how is the AI implemented exactly? It's a good question, because in like video games and such, your AI can actively change many environmental variables, right? Or maybe not variables for the whole environment, but at least the players, right? And when it comes to smart contracts, you have this problem where it costs money, transactional money, costs fees, it costs gas in Ethereum to read from disk and to write. So when you're changing a lot of variables for a whole ecosystem, can be insanely expensive, right? So the AI had to be implemented differently than typical AI. And by artificial intelligence, we're talking about here formulas that are meant to be responsive to human behavior. So when anyone calls the smart contract, that's a human behavior in some way, and that updates specific variables, that will be inexpensive for the user to run the contract, inexpensive in network fees. And these variables are super integral to people's stakes or people's mining stakes on the network. So one example of the AI I mentioned earlier was how the growing divorce reward is solved a bit, where the more people who are breaking their promises, the system ensures that the system makes it more of an incentive not to break your promise, right? And when you're incentivized not to break your promise, then you have a reason not to, right? So the AI had to be implemented where we had to find very core variables in our formula and have everybody else's stake or genius mining work with that. Hope that makes sense. The tokenomics, read the white paper, and the white paper goes a lot more in detail.
I get it, kind of. So basically, what you're saying is that with each contract interaction, basically with the interaction with the gas fees, the interaction is already paying. You're getting the information the information to the AI, right?
Correct.
Okay, sounds good. I'll check the white paper in depth so I can understand more. And it was an amazing AMA. I really liked it.
Thank you for asking.
And the whole team is working very hard. So yeah, keep it going, guys.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for that, Mark. That was a great question. I'm happy you liked the AMA. I do think it was a very good AMA too. I don't know if it's because Robert is a great speaker or because the content was great too. I think both of them. Robert, thank you so much for this amazing AMA. He's 3 a.m. here in Dubai. Not doing it because of me, because I could stay up all night talking, but doing it because of people and their attention span. Generally, people don't have more than 40 to 60 minutes of attention span straight before taking a break. So that we portray in AMA Central. We try to keep these AMAs no more than an hour. It's been a great one, Robert, to be honest. Thank you so much. You are remarkable. And again, I think Genius is super lucky to have you.
Well, thank you so much, Benson. I really appreciate that. And it's really lovely talking with you. I'll be over in the t.me/GENI crypto, GENI, the first 4 letters of Genius. Anybody wants to ask any questions, maybe we'll continue an AMA there for some time here. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. I really care about you all making good decisions in the crypto world. And thank you, Benson. It was lovely.
Thank you so much, mate. Guys, do not hesitate to join Genius Tokens Telegram. He'll be there answering questions as well. He's such an interesting person. So as I always tell you, you're not only improving your investment quality, but you're also learning from people that have more experience than you generally. Once again, thank you, Robert. We're going to choose the 1BNB winner tonight. As always, we try to generate wealth at the same time that we share knowledge. And, since we are decently wealthy in the space, we try to give out as much as we can. So, guys, we have a random giveaway winner tonight, as always. Robert, do you feel like it's too much pressure putting this on you? Like you choosing the winner? Do you want me to choose it?
Sure, I'll choose one.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, __NRX.
Got him, yep. Got him straight up. NRX, congratulations, mate. You are the winner of the 1BNB giveaway of the night. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. Thank you for listening to us tonight.
Amazing.
I'm going to message you right now so that we have that on the record. So
Great.
amazing.
I'll see you all on the other one.
Yep. Guys, please join Genius Token with Robert. He'll be there answering all the questions you were not able to answer and ask tonight. NRX is the winner of the giveaway of the 1BNB giveaway that we did live. And once again, guys, keep working towards achieving your goals. Be patient and, of course, expand your knowledge. That's the only way to keep improving. Thank you so much once again. Amazing AMA, one of the best of the month, I have to say. Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.